Welcome, good evening. My name is Gregory Morgan and welcome to Love Talk. Thanks for watching the show. I'm here to talk to you today about what works and doesn't work in relationships. Whether you're married, single, dating for marriage, or divorced, you may have noticed by now that men and women get married for entirely different reasons. And it is one of the big misunderstandings, if you will, that cause a large number of divorces is that priorities of a man and the priorities of a woman are entirely different. Now, there are many things that they are shared in common, and it actually happens to work very good as long as you know what your mate's priorities are, as long as you understand what it is that your mate wanted to get out of the marriage, what they're putting into it as well. Most people don't really understand what it costs for a man to be in a marriage. Women and men equally don't understand how much it costs for a woman, what she gives up, some of the things that she's giving up to be a wife and to be the mother of children. For a man to be a husband and a father is a learned skill. It's not something that comes about naturally. We have to learn it, and most of us learn it as we're doing it. That's the only way that we ever have learned how to become husbands and fathers, is either by watching our fathers, some of which may have been fine examples and some of which may have not been such a good example of a husband and a father. The chances of actually going into a marriage as a man or a woman with no preparation whatsoever in the skills and the arts of communicating, in the perception of understanding what it is that the other person's really asking, what it is that even maybe they don't understand that they need. You know, most of us don't examine our own wants and needs and understand ourselves. We don't really look into our deepest feelings and question ourselves as to really what is it that I must have, in this case, from a marriage. What is it that I must have from a marriage that will have me stay there for the rest of my life, no kidding, and put all of my love and energy and time and finances and just put my whole heart and soul into this? What is it that I need to get from it? And most people never ask that question. And most people never ask the question of what is it that they're willing to give and what is it that they are absolutely not willing to put up with or tolerate or willing to give beyond a certain point. These are important questions, and most people don't discover these questions until after they've already been married or they have already had kids, or it's kind of too late. And then they start discovering these hidden, unquestioned, unknown things about themselves and about their partner. And at that point, if you've already got children, my sad advice for you is that, you know what? By having children, you gave up your right to question whether or not this marriage is the right thing. Now the marriage is not about you anymore, it's about those children. Because children need a husband and a wife. They need a father and a mother, and they need them to be happy, well-balanced, normal, prosperous people if you want your children to be happy, well-balanced, prosperous children. So I always tell people, I hope that your children's parents are wealthy and happy, and I hope that your parents are wealthy and happy. So to be, you know, and you don't have to be wealthy to be happy, and you don't have to be happy to be wealthy, but wouldn't it be great to be both? And all of that is possible. So at Embrace Growth, we design seminars and workshops designed to train men and women before they get married, before they have children, before they get a divorce. You know, and you don't have to be unmarried to get the full benefit of our seminars and workshops. In fact, most of the people that come to them are married or have at least been married for some time. Some have been married and divorced. That's beside the point. Wherever you are in your relationships, there's always something to learn, something to grow, something to develop within yourself, and your ability to be powerful in the face of another human being who's going through all of their stuff in life. You know, and to actually be somebody who can stand your ground and know your boundaries, and at the same time support and love and have compassion for someone else and help them if that's what's needed, if that's what's required. I usually don't use the word help. Help means that the other person is insufficient to the task and that you are sufficient to the task. So if you're going to say, I'm going to help you, you're really telling someone, you can't do this, but I can, so I'm going to help you do it. And I think that that's a very disempowering way of talking. It's a disempowering way of thinking, disempowering way of assuming something about yourself and others. So at Embrace Growth, all of the coaching and that we do is really coming from, based upon the idea, the principle, that you are sufficient to the task, that life never will give you a challenge, no matter how serious, that you are not capable of handling. I truly believe it is a fair and loving and benevolent universe, and that all of the challenges that are placed before us are the challenges that we are requiring, that we need in order to rise to the next level in our life that we desire to rise to. That every challenge that you've ever had in your life, and every challenge that you will have, has a gift hidden behind its back, hidden beneath the appearance of a problem or an issue, that once you solve or resolve that issue, you receive that gift, you receive a knowledge, you receive a strength that would not have been possible had you not met and overcome that challenge. So that's why we chose to call our company Embrace Growth, because we don't want to help you solve your problems. We don't want to help you avoid your problems. We don't want to help you, in fact, we don't want to help you at all. We want to facilitate you helping yourself. We want to facilitate you finding your own truth, your own inner strength, and your own hidden abilities to embrace the challenges that you have in your life and to get the gift. If you have a problem and I come along and solve it, I may get something out of that process, but you probably will not. And what is predictable is that you may have that problem again at another time and need someone's help again. But if I can teach you how to handle that problem so that you know what to do if that ever comes up again, chances are, my observation has been that when a lesson is learned, you don't have to learn it again. Think about the lessons that you have learned in your life. Did you have to keep learning the same lesson over and over again? No. You know, the first time that you learned to drive a car, did you have to keep learning how to drive a car over and over again? No. You may have to get better and better at it. You probably will get better at it, hopefully. Some of you will get worse at it. But once you learn something like driving a car or riding a bicycle or learning how to dress yourself or how to cook an omelet, you don't have to learn that again. Once you've learned the lesson, you've moved on to other lessons. You got the gift. And that's a very simplified way of doing things. Now apply that same principle to your relationships. Think about issues or problems that you've had in your relationships, and maybe those issues ended the relationship. And then how many of you have gone on to future relationships only to find that the same issue was there? And how many of you have done that over and over again? Keep having the same issue over and over again until you're so resigned, so disappointed, so surrendered inside that you just finally give up, that you finally don't even try to have relationships anymore because you already know how it's going to turn out. To me, that is a lesson unlearned. Any lesson unlearned, you will repeat. And here's the bad news, in case you haven't noticed. When you repeat it, it's always worse. It's never better. It's worse than the last time. Every time you don't learn a lesson and you have to repeat it, it's going to get uglier and stupider and more painful. That's what I've noticed. I've been through these processes myself, so I took on early in my life that when I had a challenge of some kind, when I have something that is like either scary or I just feel completely stupid and I don't know how to do it, or something that I notice causes a lot of pain either for myself or others, well, I took it on to, okay, let's really look and see how can I overcome it so that I don't have to repeat it. Because I know that from experience that everything that I've had to repeat never was prettier or easier the next time. It was always more difficult, more challenging. And another way of saying that is life is full of omens. Life is full of small signals that if you're listening, if you're quiet and peaceful, if you meditate, if you're observant of your life and really paying attention and being there and being present, you will notice that there are certain things that arise. Maybe it's like a feeling or an intuition. Or maybe somebody said something and you think, that's strange, that's related to this thing over here. Those are signs or signals that are very subtle, maybe like a feather, just a light touch, where the universe is trying to tell you something. Your own soul, your own intuition is speaking up and trying to tell you in a very quiet voice, hey, watch this, do that, learn this, don't do that. And many of us, all of us, have had these thoughts, intuitions, feelings, signals, stuff that we kind of knew, but then we go, that's nothing, and we stepped over it. When you step over those signals, I call them red flags, like a little red flag that pops up and goes, watch out, right? Like a little signal that pops up and says, pay attention. If you step over the red flags, if you step over those simple omens, then the next time it comes along, it's more like a smack. Whoa, where did that come from, right? And then the next time it comes along, it may be like literally a physical injury or an illness or a financial disaster or a relationship breaking up or somebody saying, I'm out of here. Any number of things can happen, but usually the signal is bigger, uglier, and harder to deal with. The same is true, and if you don't pay attention to those, well, then it just gets worse. And many people often have to be shocked, like have some disaster happen in their life because they've been stepping over the more subtle, the more easy challenges, the more simple signals and omens all along. You keep stepping over those signals and omens, you may step off a curb one day and get hit by a truck. And then finally, when you're sitting there having been hit by a truck, you realize, wow, I should have paid attention. I should have been thinking about this. I should have listened to my mother or my brother or, listened to my own inner voice. So Embrace Growth is all about teaching you to listen to the omens, pay attention, be honest with yourself. When you're busy lying about your relationships, lying about who you are, lying to yourself about who other people are for you. In other words, if you live in a world where the agreed upon reality is that I won't tell the truth to you about myself, and I don't really care about the truth about yourself, or worse off, don't you call attention to what's not together in me, and I won't call attention to what's not together in you, okay? And that's the game that most of us are playing. It's called Torof or, social mask. We're all playing polite, and that's fine. However, if that's the life that you are living, then you won't be able to hear those signals when they come along. You'll be so busy putting up a false front about what you know and that you will no longer trust your own inner voice. You won't even hear it anymore. You will begin to become the false person that you're pretending to be, and you will forget what it feels like to be the real person who has nothing to hide, nothing to fear, nothing that you can't deal with that's going to come up. That doesn't mean that you're all powerful and all seeing or anything like that. I'm just talking about knowing that whatever comes up in my life, whatever is going to happen in my life, I will deal with it. I will know how to deal with it. I'll be effective at it. And if I don't know how to do it, I'll find out. But I will take care of things no matter what comes along in my life. And so I can just kind of relax about my life, relax about trying to fool people or fool myself about anything, and just tell the truth for what it is. When you're in that state of mind, when you can reach that state of mind, then you clearly hear the voices inside you. And I'm not talking about those schizophrenic voices that tell you crazy, hypercritical things, that criticize you and call you stupid names. I'm not talking about those voices, okay? There's voices inside of us that are very critical, very self-critical. I wouldn't listen to those if I were you. I'm talking about those voices of courage, those voices that have hope, that have a message for you that seems to be of a higher nature. When you can be relaxed and confident in your life, you can trust that whatever inner guidance system you have will take you to where you need to go. It's kind of like trusting the map program on your car. If you have a map program on your car, you may know what I'm talking about, a GPS system. My last car had one that for some reason, it would always tell me the most complicated route to get someplace. My wife was always laughing at me because I was arguing with it all the time. I kind of knew the way to where I was going, but I just wanted to put the map program on to make sure that I took the quickest route, and it would take some complicated, long, twisted route to get to where I was going, and that's how it would map it out. And I would argue with the map program. She said, "You are talking to inanimate objects again." And so many of us argue with our GPS system. When I got a new car, I noticed that the new GPS system, a later model, a more upgraded version, always took me the quickest route. So now I trust it. Now, whenever it tells me to go this way, I'm pretty clear that that's probably going to be the fastest way to go. And it is so accurate that when it tells me you're going to get there at 1:23, you actually get there at 1:23. It's amazing. I don't even know how it does that. It's possible to have an inner guidance system that is so clear and so precise and so at one with who you are that it will, without doubt, take you in the direction that you've always wanted to be. Here's the trick. You got to tell it where you want to go. You need to know your purpose. You need to actually question, what is my life about? Why am I here? And what am I up to? And what do I want? What do I want out of this marriage, this job, this relationship? So if you don't know where you want to go, then it's pretty sure that you're going to get nowhere. It's possible to have your inner guidance system so well developed that you can count on it, is what I was talking about. And it's important to begin to know, what is your purpose in life? Why are you here? What is it that you want to accomplish? What is the legacy that you would like to leave for future generations? And until you begin to ask those questions, you will never get those answers. And many people never ask those questions. Well, here's somebody, maybe they're going to ask me a question. Hello, this is Gregory. You're live on the air.
Hi, how you doing? My name is Saman.
Hi, Saman. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Great. Thanks for watching the show.
My mom has definitely encouraged me to give you a call, and
oh, cool.
You know, maybe you have some pointers for me. I'm actually 28 years old. I've been married once and divorced, and you know.
Okay.
You know, I was just listening to some of your pointers and wanted to know what you recommend for somebody that's. I moved here at an early age of 14, so I kind of feel like I'm half Iranian, half American, and it's kind of a confusing thing when you get into a relationship.
Yeah, well, you've lived half your life here. If you're 28, you've lived exactly half your life here now.
Yes, exactly.
So you are kind of half and half, and that's great.
Part of me, it's kind of like where my childhood was, and you know, you don't really learn to meet women and interact with women at that early age, but when you move here and you're from 14 up and you grow up in this society and you kind of have a mixture of both cultures, and it kind of gets confusing, especially once you get into a relationship with people that have different backgrounds or.
Mm-hmm. So with yeah, I could understand that. Is totally different worlds and totally different value systems. The Iranian value system is, and what they value and what they believe is completely different from what they value and what they believe in America. Are you in America, Canada?
I'm in America.
You're in America? And in an American culture, it's just a different set of values. There's not one that's right or wrong. It's just that that's what works in one culture and something else works in another culture. And of course, your guidance system comes from your parents. And they grew up, no doubt, in Iran, and you grew up in the formative years of your life. Anything between 0 and 4 years old, by that time, you've kind of set up how you respond to things. Now, maybe not so much sexually and stuff like that, but because it's too early for that, but you have absorbed from your parents and your environment how to behave in a particular way so as to be accepted by a certain group of people, the people that are in charge around you, right? The adults.
I mean, that's you know, my ex was European, and, you know, I thought kind of like the European, but on the Asian side of Europe, and she had a lot of the same values as, you know, Iran, as far as Iranian families go.
Yes.
But, you know, we ran into problems, and my parents are recommending, oh, you know, you should meet an Iranian woman, an Iranian girl, and that would solve all your problems. And, you know, in a sense, I do see it, because I have been going out with an Iranian girl for 2 years, and I do see a lot of the problems have been resolved, but I'm not sure if I want to move into anything because of that, or is it, as far as marriage and things, is that really kind of solve a lot of the problems, or are there going to be problems because now I see a lot of the parts that are absent are the parts that I'm used to growing up here, and I'm used to doing things the American way in so many aspects, and the other person has grown up in Iran and lived in Iran all their lives. So am I going to have issues because of that as well, that she's not going to understand some of the things that I'm used to because I grew up from 14 on here?
Well, yeah, listen, regardless of who you marry, you're going to have issues. Let's just face that. Let's start there, okay? I believe that we are most drawn to people who have an innate ability to bring up in us, and by bring up I mean like when you're with somebody and it's an emotionally charged situation, and you begin to have all kinds of feelings that maybe you don't understand, okay? That's what I mean by bring up in us, hidden feelings and hidden ideas and thoughts that maybe we didn't even know we had. Those parts of us that want to come up and come out and be expressed inside of a loving relationship, a loving environment, and an environment which would engender bringing out the best in you and bringing out the best in her. Now, it doesn't matter what culture somebody's from, in my opinion, as long as that symbiotic relationship is there. What you're looking for is communication. Do you guys communicate well? Like when you're together, do you love talking, hanging out, laughing, enjoying each other's company? Do you enjoy communicating? Okay, so that's first thing. The next thing is chemistry. Does she turn you on? Do you turn her on? That's important. If you start out without that, well, you know, it's very unlikely to come along later. Okay, so
obviously both of those are there right now.
Okay,
so.
And then the last thing, and the one that you're really asking about, is compatibility. And I'm going to define compatibility just like the dictionary does. Okay, two different things, two different parts working together in a harmonious fashion with no change or alteration required. You don't have to change, and she doesn't have to change. You both get to be exactly like you are. In fact, the more like you are that you are, the more she loves you. And the more like she is, you love her more. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You don't want her to change so that she be like you. And if she wants you to change so you be like her, then you may have an incompatibility issue. And some people are incompatible, absolutely. Some people, they have the chemistry, they got the communication, and I tell them run, because it's never going to work, right? You can't have 2 out of 3.
I don't mean to be interrupting. But,
yeah, no.
I always have this idea that, you know, the person that I should be looking for is somebody that's come here on the same age, you know, time or time frame in her life like I did. So she's on the same page as far as communication, as far as, you know, like I can get some Iranian jokes and I can read some Iranian poetry, and at the same time I get most of the American jokes and enjoy the American culture and aspects in that part of the culture as well. So, and the thing that I don't know if she's going to change as far as adapt if she moves here to, you know, to kind of pick up on everything that kind of I picked up on over the past 14 years, or am I going to be suffering because of that kind of like, I guess, not necessarily lack of knowledge, but just the fact that she hasn't been here?
Well, I would definitely spend, how much time have you spent with her?
We've been together, like, it's a long-distance relationship, she being in Iran and I here in the States, so...
Okay, that, well, hold on.
Kind of
that
see
is...
each other a couple of times, 2 to 3 times a year, and a week at a time, so that's kind of like how much time we spend a lot of time talking on the phone mainly, so...
Okay, I got that. That's not a basis for a marriage, in my opinion, okay?
Right.
That's really not a basis for a marriage, and I am... excuse me for saying so, but I'm skeptical about when women that are in Iran want to marry a guy that's in America that's established. It makes me a little skeptical. Like maybe what they're really wanting to do is get out of Iran and get citizenship in another country.
Well, Well, as far as that aspect of it, I know for a fact that it's not, because it's kind of like a family friend, and they're, as far as they don't have any money issues, or they travel outside of Iran without a problem. So I know as far as that, it's not necessarily an issue. But
okay, well, I wanted to point it out. I'm not going to insist on that issue. It's just that it's something worth questioning. As far as her changing and adapting, as far as you having to change and adapt, both of you are going to have to change and adapt. And if the love is there, then you will, because you'll do it for love.
Okay.
Right? But if you do it because you have to, because the other person refuses to change, or the other person insists on staying the way they are, and it's not working for you, then you have an incompatibility issue, you see? Now, I don't know. I don't know the girl well enough. Maybe she loves all things, American, and she really can't wait to, get into whatever we're into over here, rock and roll and stuff. Maybe she's like that, or maybe she's a very traditional Iranian girl that wants to stay that way, and is never going to.
Overseas for a few years, and she's as far as her mindset is pretty contemporary and open-minded. She's not, she's a pretty understanding person. So I don't know how else to put it, but
yeah, it's hard to go much further than in the conversation on just in this format. But what I would recommend is that the two of you, and it's always better to get this done with another person, with a third party. So whether it's with a therapist or a coach or a marriage coach or counselor, some of the things that we do at Embrace Growth is we help people choose the right mate. Like isn't it better to know right away before you spend a bunch of time and money and energy? You've already spent 2 years, you said, right?
Correct.
2 years is a huge investment for a woman. What age is she?
26.
Okay, it's a huge investment for a woman. Okay. If this didn't work out, if you and her don't work out, it's a bigger loss for her than it is for you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay? It's a bigger loss for her because she has a time limit, okay, on her.
I understand that, and I do love her. It's just the fact that I don't want to, get into another situation where I'm having issues, and it's worth, it's kind of a waste of time, and it's miserable for both of us. So it's kind of.
Well, if you're getting married and want to avoid issues, that's almost like saying, I want to play football, but I don't like that part where they tackle me and I fall down and all the guys with helmets pile up on top of me. I don't want to do that part, right? Marriage is going to have issues, and you are going to get hurt. I promise you, you will be hurt, she will be hurt. You do not get through a marriage without hurting each other's feelings. You don't get through a marriage without wondering, why the heck did I ever do this in the first place? Going into a marriage means I'm going to do this no matter what, because you're the right person for me, and whatever comes up for me in my life, no matter what, I'm going to handle it right here inside of this marriage. I'm not going to get a divorce. I'm not going to go out and have an affair. I'm not going to go complain about you. I'm not going to lock myself away and not share myself with you. I'm going to sit right down here at this table with you, or, walk this path with you until we sort ourselves out. That's really what one ought to be saying when they get married. And if you're not prepared to say that, you shouldn't get married to anyone.
I understand, but what would be the best, I guess, question or thoughts or ideas to kind of think about, like, that you recommend as far as primary things to really put most of your effort thinking about? A lot of other issues you can kind of get through together, but as far as my situation,
right?
What would you say would be the primary things to consider and think about and discuss with her? Okay.
Now, I have a set of CDs called The 12 Stages of Romantic Relationship, and I mostly made it for men. Okay? I made it for men and women, but I made it for men and I put it on CDs because men don't like to read books so much, so you can listen to it as often as you like, right?
Okay.
And so I recommend that you get that. They're very inexpensive. And then there's a book my wife has written in both English and Farsi called Girl Talk. And in that Girl Talk book, as well as I talk about it in the 12 stages, I mention this marriage contract, but she actually provides you with the marriage contract in the book called Girl Talk. Okay. Now, Girl Talk was written for women. However, a lot of men read it because they're curious and they find that it's great advice. Okay.
Okay.
So in the book Girl Talk, there's a copy of a marriage contract. And, you know, marriage contract sounds like a heavy word. However, marriage is a deal. It's a business deal. It involves real estate, banking, your family, her family, children that have never been born yet, educational funds. A lot of stuff is involved in a marriage, you see, and so it is a business deal. And for a woman in particularly, even though it's the same is true for a man, we don't put as much emphasis on it, but for a woman, it's a huge change in status. Women tend to think of themselves and of each other as either married or unmarried. And so for a woman goes from being unmarried to married, that's a really big deal in a woman's world, you see, because it's a change in status. It's a change from the parents' home to living with a man and to the man's home, and it's a big deal, okay? And so just like if you were going to buy a house, you would really learn everything about that if you were going to spend all your money on it, right? You should find out all about marriage. And particularly, you wouldn't just, if you were going to buy a house, you wouldn't just find out about all houses. You'd find out about the particular house that you're thinking about buying. And if you're like me, I even crawled under the floorboards of my house and looked at it and went up in the attic and everywhere, right? I went back down to the city center, down to the city hall, and I got the original building permit to see when it was built and what it was made out of, okay?
Okay.
So you might want to do that with a wife that you're planning on spending your entire life with, investing all of your money and time and sexuality with, and raising kids together. I would check it out thoroughly. And so part of the marriage contract is asking some tough questions that people don't want to ask. They want to say, well, what about money? What about religion?
Do you have a website where I could order this from?
EmbraceGrowth.com. It's the last part of that email address that you're seeing on there, okay? And you can order it directly from there. But it asks questions like, what about money? What about sex? How often? How much? How do you like it? You know, what about kids? How many? Or what religion are we going to raise them in? You know, etc. Okay, where do you want to live geographically? What about your family, my family? What about private time? What about away time, vacation time? What about time that I want to go away by myself with my buddies and go camping or fishing or something? Or what about time when she wants to go with her girlfriends and go off, you know, to Vegas if she wants to? Is that okay? Is that a problem for you? In other words, talk about those things. And then there should be no more than 2 or 3. But in every marriage, there are deal breakers. There are things like, if you do that, I am out of here. Okay? This is not like you're going to make me mad. This means you're going to make me divorce you. If you do this, you can count on it, I will leave. You know? So you need to know those things before you get married, not after. You see?
Yeah.
Then you go consciously into a marriage. And you know, those are the tough questions. My wife and I sat down for about 6.5 hours one day and went through that thing, and it was grueling. It was long. It was like it was very detailed. And I don't mean to make it sound horrible or anything. That's just because me and my wife are both very strong-headed people, and so being as stubborn and willful as we are, it probably took longer than it would take normal people. But you know, we're both very opinionated about how things ought to be, and we both want to be the boss. You know?
You don't think, as far as where you grow up, I mean, how much, I mean, do you think that my thinking about, meeting somebody that's been here or with the same time frame of Iran, half in Iran, and, you know, living here from, let's say, high school up, would that, as far as a lot of...
No, listen,
or no?
I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, okay, back where there's cowboys and Indians, okay?
Oh, that's a boring town. I've been there.
Huh? Yeah, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She was born in Tehran, okay? She's been to college and got PhDs. I'm totally self-educated and traveled all over the world, and I've been a dancer and a singer and all kinds of stuff, okay? So talk about two mismatched people, you know. But what we saw is that there were not any real deal breakers. The deal breakers are if you do something that's illegal, immoral, unethical, or so dangerous to your health or my health that I can't put up with it, then I'm going to leave.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for calling.
Good day.
Good day.
یک مرد منحصر به فرد، مسلط، متمرکز، قابل اعتماد و رضایتمند باشید. کارگاه شرافت، عزت کلام و مهارت به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان. تورنتو 21 تا 23 سپتامبر، همبورگ 19 تا 21 اکتبر، ایروان ارمنستان 15 تا 17 آگوست، لس آنجلس 2 تا 4 نوامبر، 310 460 2600. اپلیکیشن امبریس گروت. با ساختن اکانت شخصی شما می توانید وارد پروفایل خود شده و تنظیمات آن را تغییر دهید. به تمامی رویدادها و محصولات دسترسی داشته باشید. با چند کلیک برای سمینارها و کارگاه‌ها ثبت نام کنید و یا وقت مشاوره خود را رزرو نمایید. اپلیکیشن امبریس گروت را امروز از اپ استور دانلود کنید و به خانواده جهانی امبریس گروت بپیوندید. در کارگاه‌های آموزشی بانوان به رهبری دکتر آزیتا سایان با دستیابی به اهمیت و ارزش واقعی خود، قدرت زنانگی و آرامش خود را بازیابید. ایروان ارمنستان 7 تا 9 فوریه، لس آنجلس 22 تا 24 فوریه، تورنتو 15 تا 17 مارچ و همبورگ 26 تا 28 آپریل. 310 460 2600. اپلیکیشن امبریس گروت همکنون در اپ استور. با ساختن اکانت شخصی شما می توانید پروفایل خود را مدیریت و زبان مورد نظر خود را بین فارسی و انگلیسی انتخاب کنید. وقت مشاوره خود را رزرو نمایید. محصولات از جمله CD، DVD و کتاب‌ها را خریداری و دانلود نمایید و یا برای کارگاه‌ها و سمینارها نام‌نویسی کنید. همچنین شما می توانید به برنامه‌های تلویزیونی و رادیویی دکتر سایان و یا آقای مورگن به صورت رایگان دسترسی داشته باشید. اپلیکیشن امبریس گروت را امروز از اپ استور دانلود کنید. برنامه دنیای عشق با دکتر آزیتا سایان. برنامه‌ای که تمامی سوال‌های شما را جواب می‌دهد. ازدواج، عشق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، فرزندان، والدین، خیانت. از یوتیوب لایو استریم، فیسبوک و اینستاگرام لایو. سه شنبه ها و پنج شنبه ها 10 شب به وقت ایران و 10:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس. تلفن تماس با استودیو 818 532 66 55. از این پس برنامه دنیای عشق رو از جم USA روزهای جمعه 9 شب، شنبه 11:30 شب، یک شنبه 1:30 ظهر و دوشنبه 8:30 صبح به وقت لس آنجلس دنبال کنید. خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان در برنامه دنیای عشق جوابگوی سوالات شما هستند و به مباحث مهمی همچون ازدواج، تربیت فرزندان، افسردگی، طلاق، سکس، همجنسگرایی، خیانت و هزاران موضوع متنوع دیگر می‌پردازند. برای اطلاعات بیشتر از برنامه‌ها، سمینارها و کارگاه‌های خانم دکتر آزیتا سایان با شماره 310 460 2600 تماس بگیرید و یا از اپلیکیشن و یا وبسایت Embrace Growth دیدن کنید.